Welcome to Cult Connections. Let's see what we are taking a sideways look at today. Hi, it's Ian here. I am joined by my good friend, Rapha. How are you, Rapha?
I'm fine. Very happy to talk to you again.
Very good. So we have a very special episode there today. So what I'm going to start about is actually list the three films that we're going to talk about. So we've decided on the Goonies from the 1985, Return of the Jedi from 1983, and more recently, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark from 2019. And you're probably wondering how these films are actually linked, and they're not actually linked there directly. However, what they are linked by is these are films that we, either one of us, have watched on our birthdays. But more importantly, me and Rapha share the same birthday. So happy birthday,
Yes.
Rapha.
Happy birthday, Ian.
So we thought it would be nice to talk about these three films because we specifically watched them on our birthdays. And obviously we do have nice sort of memories of that. Being the gentleman that I am, I'm not going to go in the sort of date order, but I'm going to start with you, Rapha. So we're going to go back to 1985 and the Goonies. So, and without wanting to sound rude, how old would you have been when you watched this?
I was I was little. I was eight. I was 8 or 9 years old when I watched the Goonies, and my mom took me to the cinema to watch, and I like it so much that I watched it. I think I made her to take me to the cinema again like 9 times to watch.
9 times.
Yes. And it's funny because to rewatch now for do the podcast, I didn't see the Goonies for a while now, like I think for 5 years, I think. And it was funny how I remember everything about the movie, everything. I think it's the film that I most watched in my life. Because remembering lines and scenes and what will happen next, like, oh, now it's this thing will happen, and now that's when the statue it's broken, then they have to play the piano, and when they find the sheep. I remember everything from the movie, and this memory I have from when I was little. This is weird, because you watch some movies a lot, but you don't have this so, like so fresh memory of the movie. And I had a really, really fresh memory of this movie on my mind. And I think I like it so much when I watched it the first time. I was like, oh my God, I want them to be my friends, And I like it so much that gets into me.
I think it's well, I certainly haven't watched it as many times as you have. There certainly didn't, make my mum, take me 8 or 9 times to see it at the cinema either. I don't actually remember seeing it at the cinema at the time. I don't think so. I think if I had, I would certainly remember that. I can obviously recall a lot of the films I saw back then. I think probably I watched this on maybe VHS actually, maybe as a rental. Certainly saw it on the TV. Now I can see how it's a film that would capture young sort of minds, wouldn't it? It would certainly be sort of perfect for that. It's just
Yes.
that kind of film, isn't it? A group of youngsters, and a a sort of adventure, which can be quite scary in parts, and thrilling,
Yes.
and funny as well. So I think yeah, I can see why it's absolutely stuck with you.
Yes, I remember that when I watched it when I was young and I was little, I was really, really scared about the skeletons.
Hmm.
They found a lot of skeletons. I was really scared about the Fratellis
Hmm.
and the Willy, One Eye Willy.
Yeah.
Now I watch it and this is all so funny. And I even like the Fratellis now, you Mama Fratelli and you like Slot and you like everybody in the movie. Besides Troy, I like everybody in the movie.
What I'm wondering, Rafa, about so being eight or nine years old, and they're seeing the film, and they can you remember where you saw it? So were you living in
Yes,
in
yes,
the Rio
it's in
at
a.
the time?
My mom took me to the Roxy. That's a very close movie theater next to my house. We used to have a lot of cinemas here nearby, very close to my house.
Hmm.
And I remember that my mom took me to watch it in Roxy, and I think it was because it was like the biggest movie theater here, and when they always had the big openings, like the big movies.
Hmm.
I remember that was near my birthday, but I don't. It's like I was telling you, I don't have very vivid memories of my mom took when my mom took me to the movies, because my mom used to take me to the movies every weekend,
Hmm.
even movies that wasn't for kids. My mom took me to watch on the movies.
Well, I think.
So but I remember that the Goonies were near my birthday because we took some friends with, and to watch it. So that I remember that the Goonies were near
Yeah.
my birthday.
Hmm. Um, so for those of you who maybe don't know the film, this might sound odd because I think everybody knows the
Yes.
film, don't they? Um, so it's a group of young misfits who they they discover an ancient map and set out on an adventure to find a legendary pirate's long lost treasure. Um, it's a very 80s film, isn't it? So, um, but very 80s in a very good way. So they
Yes.
yeah, so they're directed by Richard Donner, who obviously passed away not that long ago.
Yes, that's sad.
Uh-huh. Written by the Christopher the Columbus by a story by Steven Spielberg. So you've got that's an A-list group of sort of talent there.
Yes.
Um, and it very much it captures it's got some ET vibes, and in the Diana Jones and all that kind of stuff, doesn't it? Very much sort of fits in with that. What's your sort of favorite bits of it?
Oh, I really really like the part of the piano. It's my favorite part
Hmm.
because it's so scary when you are little. The flaw is it's going away, because if they miss, the floor will fall down, and at the same time the Fratellis is coming, and Data it's trying to stop them, but Data is just this little boy, you know with all these gadgets, and and the girl, I forgot her name. It's Andy. It's
Andy.
trying to play the piano, and it's always has been my favorite part. It's very scary when you are little, and it's very entertaining when you are big, because now it's you understand that they will manage to carry on, but it's very good. It always has been my favorite part.
Hmm. I probably like the start of it the most, just because it gives that lovely sense of being in a fairly small sort of town. Um, you get that sort of feeling. I think a lot of the 80s, movies that we had, were very good at sort of capturing that sort of feel about, um, they're sort of growing up and coming of age in a way. I think, E.T.
Yes.
Those kind of films, very much does that really, really well, and I like that, and you can really see um, the skill and the craft of the movie makers in it. I mean, this is an extremely well made film, um, and they're sort of adventurous. It's of its time. It's very sort of 80s in a very good way, where we came out of the quite sort of serious sort of 1970s of very very sort of or auteur like sort of film they're making, and very serious films, and it's one of those films that brought I think fun back, back to the
Yes.
cinema, didn't it?
Yes. And what I like the most, it's never get old, because even when you watch now in 2021, you still like it has an innocence that we need when
Hmm.
we are young. And this story, it's amazing about it's about friendship, it's about discovering love and discovering life, and to have to deal with so sad and serious things, like to lose your house, when you are very young, and they are very young. And I noticed how young they were this weekend, because Josh Brolin was a teenager and Sean Astin was this sweet little boy, so
Yeah.
they are all grown up, and I think they are older than me. I don't know.
Mhm.
Brolin is older than me, but I don't
Yeah.
know Sean Astin. And
Yeah, I know it's amazing. And then again, you look at the cast, and often, when it's a younger sort of cast, um, the actors maybe often don't make it onto, um, sort of adult roles, but there is some big names here amongst, the
yes,
younger actors. Like you say, Sean, the sort of Aston, who we know so well from the Lord of the Rings. That's
yes,
one that stands out. And then now, when you look at Josh, they're sort of Brolin. I mean, he's Thanos, and lots of other great big films, and he's a massive star now, and he's overtaken their father, who was also a big their actor. So it's
yes,
quite amazing, isn't it?
yes. It's funny to look at the Goonies and think that how great and how good actor Josh Brolin is now. He can do anything,
Hmm.
and he's doing everything.
Hmm.
And I see some people on Twitter saying, "Oh, you need to respect Sean Astin. He is from the the Lord of the Rings," and I always said, "No, he's from the Goonies."
Yeah.
For the Lord of the Rings, he was Mikey.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I do have a mention. So like you say, the Fratelli. So that's the family of
Yes,
the villains in there, and it's a great uh their sort of trio. Well, there's four of them, but that sort of trio of they're the mother and they're the two sons, and then there's the wayward son who's on there the other side. But Robert, their Davy, plays one of the sons, and I know him best. He's in the James Bond. He's in I think
Yes.
the License to Kill. I'm sure it is. He's in that one, and he plays a very nasty, horrible sort of character in that. So,
Yes.
but it was nice to see him in that sort of comedy role, and he was,
Yes.
yeah, it was very good.
Yes, it's that's I think this is a good thing about this movie because you have all these great actors, both of them, even the Mama Fratelli doing this not it's like a it's like a yes, it's a comedy, but they are they had to be very bad and they are the villains, but at the same time they need to be funny, but not like exaggerated. They are very great. They are great because they make you when you are little to believe that they are bad, they are very bad, they are the villains, but at the same time they are not nasty to the children.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good thing, and
Yeah.
you see how good they are and they are able to do this comedy that way and not be like nasty villains to children.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good sign of great their sort of storytelling, that you can have all these sort of thrills and frights, but
Yes.
deep down there's a sort of wholesomeness and the safety to it that um when you leave the cinema, you actually feel nice about watching the film, and you're not
Yes.
thinking about it for days afterwards in a scary kind of way. So
Yes. But
if I'm going to
I
criticize,
was
yep.
no, I was thinking about Chunk, that he's my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
When the face got him and he started to tell all the bad things that he did when
Yeah,
he it's very funny too, and it's so well done this part.
I think it is. It's so sort of skillfully done. I think uh, like I say, the locations, that's
Yes.
great. It looks like a lovely seaside sort of town. The sets are fantastic. The pirate ship, I really like that. So
Yes.
some great skill, there to make it. It's just you can see it's just an all round well made film. Um,
Yes.
if I do have a slight sort of criticism, and I've got two minor ones, and that's all that there really are. Um, it's quite long. It's nearly 2 hours. So I do think there's maybe
Yes.
some little bits that could have sliced away just to, speed it up a bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you think? I watched it and I when I saw it, I was like, oh, they are riding the ship. It's all it's and I was I was sad. I think it's because, like I told you, I remember everything about the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've seen it so many times, yeah.
Yes.
I think for me as well, they have watched a lot of films from the the 50s and the 60s, and even the 70s, recently, and to try to get a film that actually lasts longer than they're sort of 90 minutes. So I was actually quite surprised it was nearly 2 hours.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, but and also sometimes I felt in some of the scenes, and it's great to have such a big sort of cast, and especially with the youngsters. But I sometimes felt that it was a little bit sort of crowded, having so many young sort of characters in each sort of scene. But that's just a very minor point.
I I don't know. I I like everything about this movie. I really like the boys and the girls. Martha Plimpton is in it. and she now is a great actress,
Hmm.
and she's just the best friend. And
I think as
Corey
well.
Feldman.
Yeah, yeah, this is it. I mean, so many, great sort of talent. Obviously, Corey Feldman's quite an '80s and '90s icon as well. So,
Yes.
yeah, um, I know. But also as well, I think what's sort of great is that, um, the group. So that the Goonies, it is mixed. It is, it's a mixed, their sort of gender group, and
Yes.
I think that's actually great for the time as well.
Yes. Something appears on my sorry. Yes, yes, that's I was thinking about that. And well, they talk a lot about the chunky to be fat. That's the only thing that today gets into me.
Hmm.
But they don't do like homophobic jokes, even when they are fighting with each other.
Hmm.
Even Mouth, I don't like Mouth. I don't like the character, but I understand where he's come from. And they don't do bad jokes. They just do innocent jokes about to be friends, and you see that they are very good friends. And you notice in the end of the movie that they have lovely families. All of them have families that support them and love them. And I think that's very important, because you always have one kid that doesn't have a father, or a kid that has problems, or a kid that the parents are very abusive. And in this movie, they are all very lovable kids with lovely parents. And I think this is a good message. I think this is good,
Hmm.
because of course you have to tell the story of all kind of kids, because you have all this kind of kids going to watch the movies. But at the same time, I think it's good for you, when like now that I'm a grow up, to see that the parents support them no matter what. They went to this big adventure. They almost get killed by
Yeah.
bad guys, but at the same time, the families were there to support them, to be happy that they are alive and okay. So I think this is a good thing for a movie for kids,
Hmm.
because show kids that they can rely on their parents. They can tell everything to the parents, because I think this is very important. I know it's just a very small scene in the end, but I think this is a very important message, you
Hmm.
know.
And it's very nice at the end. Like apparently, for a lot of the of the parents actually are the real the parents of the children. So, which
Sorry.
is a really nice touch that it's actually it's real their parents who are sort of greeting them at the end. Um, which is really nice. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go back there 2 years to 1983, and I'm going to talk
Yes.
about my birthday. Um, so we're going to go back to August the 12th, 1983. Well, actually, we're going to go back first of all. We're actually going to go back to May 1983. Um, there to talk about Return of the Jedi now. And why I want to go back so far is that I have a lot of memories about this film and about where I was at the time and such like. So, but first of all, what I'd like to mention is in our day and age, and especially with the big films. So if you're thinking about Star Wars or the Marvel films or any of those kind of massive their films, is that there's a big deal about not having their spoilers, so that the details of the films are fairly much under sort of wraps, and you don't know much about them, and all that
Okay.
kind of thing.
Yes.
Of course, there's a famous one for Return of the Jedi, where when they were filming it, all of the cameras and all of the scripts and everything had a fake their name. So I believe it was it was called Blue Dead Harvest. That was the name of it. So, however, so I'm going back to when I was 9 years old. So 3-4 months before my birthday, I'm at school, and at that time, what we had was a book, their sort of club. So so you would order some of their books, and then they would come, 2-3 weeks later, and they would be handed out in their class. And one of the things that almost all of the class ordered was the Return of the Jedi storybook, which
Oh,
which arrived in May, and it was a lovely glossy book, full of their photos. It told the story in a fairly simple way. It had a lovely red there cover, but basically it gave you images and the story of the film, and you could buy that prior to the film they're coming out. So when you went to see the film, you already knew all about it because you'd read the book.
oh, we didn't have that here. I'm sad.
Yeah. but uh, but like I say, I very much do remember. I think practically all of us in the class, we all got one of these storybooks. Unfortunately, I don't have it now. I wish I did, but because it was absolutely lovely. Um, so that came out in May. Now, an interesting thing in what you were saying, Rafa, about going to see the Goonies at the cinema. So where I grew up in a very small their town in there Scotland. So this is just a town of say there's 6,000 there people. But what we did have was their cinema, which unfortunately it's not there now. However, before the days of digital, prints and things like that, a small regional cinema like where we were, you had to wait for the film to physically come there around. So it could be many, many weeks before you saw a film, because you were actually reliant on the the actual sort of print coming round, and often by the time it got to your small, town there cinema, it would be scratched and have their dirt on it, and so often the picture quality wasn't the best when you actually did get to see these films, and sometimes you could
Yeah.
wait many months, um so that's what it was like, living in that small town, and and you didn't really travel either to go and see a film. You would wait for coming out there to where you lived. But for Return of the Jedi, and what I remember vividly about this is that me and my mother went on holiday. So we had a week's holiday in London, which was when my birthday was in obviously August, the 12th of the August. So, and by that time I still hadn't seen the film. Being that young and loving Star Wars and all that, I was desperate to see it. It still hadn't come out. So as a treat, I think basically, so her and a friend could actually go off their shopping. They found a cinema in their London that was screening it. So I got packed off to go and see it on my birthday, while they went away there to the shops. So I think that's one of the reasons it sticks in my head so much.
That's so nice. Yes,
um,
it's funny what we remember and what stick with us, isn't it?
I mean, this is it. I can remember it was the Odeon cinema at the Marble Arch. I can remember that vividly. I can remember exactly which cinema that it was. Um, so anyway, 1983, the return of the Jedi. Obviously, it's the third and final part of George Lucas's Star Wars trilogy. Um, I'm not particularly going to go over the plot or anything like that. If you haven't seen Return of the Jedi,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you.
uh, go off
you
on.
don't you don't have a happy life if you don't see
If you
this.
haven't seen it, go out and see it. So,
Yes.
get that one out of the way. Um, Out of the three films, it's probably my least favorite, but
Yes,
not
me
really
too.
in any, just just in very minor points. But it's a great film overall, isn't it?
But it was the first one I watched from the three because um, I was really, really little when my mom took me to the movies to watch. And I remember that I got very scared about Jabba. I was
Mhm.
like, oh my God, why are you making me watch this, you know? But the first one that I watched was The Return of the Jedi. And then my mom said, this is a movie, and there are two others first, and you need to watch. But at that time, we didn't have a VCR player. So we have to wait until it was on TV. And one day my mom said to me, you remember the Star Wars movies? The first one will be on TV tonight and we were going to watch together. So I think that's why I love Star Wars so much, you know,
Mhm.
because my mom took me to the movies to watch The Return of the Jedi, and I don't remember much. I just remember that I thought that Leia was so beautiful, and she was this very strong and woman that used to fight with the guys.
Mhm.
And I remember Jabba the Hutt because he was very, very scary. And of course, I remember the Ewoks because I was this little girl and I wanted to have a Ewok, you know. And then years later, of course, then I watched everything again, and then I understand why Han Solo was on the carbonite and
Yeah.
all the things, you know. And now I love Star Wars. Like and then I bought all the DVDs and Blu-rays and everything else, and I watched it many, many times. And it's like I was telling you, it was weird to watch The Return of the Jedi and don't watch the two previous movies, you know.
um, it's a great film. I love it. I love
Yes,
I love the final act as well. I love its
yes,
um, to be fair, the way that the filmmakers, keep, three different sort of stories and all of the action going, and it's huge, but at the same time it's very, personal and very sad, um
yes,
and for me it's an interesting film. I think, probably like you, Rafa, um you know you we saw the first three Star Wars films, and we probably watched them so many times that um, I wouldn't say that we ever grew bored of them, but you maybe did get a little bit sort of jaded. Um, and I will always say this, and I know this is probably sort of controversial, but one of the things I love about the prequels is that they kind of breathe, different sort of life in to their original films. So, and for me, it always goes from so Star Wars went from being Luke the Skywalker's their story to actually being Anakin Skywalker's their story. And I must admit, I do find the ending of of their Jedi to be quite sort of touching. I must admit how he comes
Yes,
full their circle again. So
yes. But I like how the beginning of the Return of the Jedi, it's a movie, and then it became another movie with the Ewoks and the whole thing.
mhm.
It a little bit because it's in the beginning it's very bleak, like they are there trying to rescue Han Solo, and Leia became this slaver, and Luke has to fight for his life, and you are like, wait, what's going on, And then you learn who is Jabba, and you have the fight scenes. The fight scenes are amazing in this movie, and even when they are there with the Ewoks, it's very nice. The whole scenes with Leia and all the scenes of fights. The like you're saying, the fight scenes in this movie are very great. It's really great. So
Mhm.
I think that's yes. I prefer the other two. I don't think the Return of the Jedi. It's a great movie. But of course, it's very interesting. It's a great move to watch, and it's very important for the trilogy. But when you watch the New Hope and you watch the Empire Strikes Back, that's amazing. It's an amazing movie, you know. And but I really I like a lot the Return of the Jedi. I like how Leah got this. She goes from this very little, not very fragile, because Leah is not fragile at all
No.
in one of the movies. But I remember for me as a little girl growing up and watching a woman to be one of the heroes, it was amazing. And I know that a lot of people don't like now the new movies because the first one is good, but the second and the third one, it was like, what's going on? But I remember when I went to watch the new trilogy, the first one, I cried at the movie theater because there was a Jedi girl, and I grew up wanted to be a Jedi, but only the boys were Jedi. And then I look, she's a Jedi and she's this powerful Jedi.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like Leia so much. And of course I like Luke, and of course I love Han Solo, and all the characters. But I am a girl that grew up with Leia, so she is a very important character for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and yeah, I must admit, I absolutely echo that. But I love the Ray as a character. I think she's absolutely brilliant. Um,
Yes.
and yeah, there are some flaws in those films, but there's some great stuff as well. And that's the thing
Yes.
about their films is that we can, um, and Star Wars has become so vast now that we can actually focus on
Yeah.
hopefully hopefully we can just focus on the bits that we do like and not focus too much on the bits that we maybe don't like so much. But I, I, it's something that absolutely captured me when I was 8, 9, 10-year-old, and still does now. So one thing I wanted to touch on, so like I say, we were on holiday in London, and we did all of the sightseeing and all of that stuff. I do remember going to Madame their Two Swords and seeing there the waxworks and the Houses of Parliament and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now something nice just for you, Rafa, and this is a memory that also sticks with me. So on their sort of Twitter the other day, we've all been doing our five their comfort films. So films that make us feel nice and warm
Yes.
inside. And one of yours was Singing in the Rain, I believe.
Yes. I love this movie. I don't know
Yeah,
if you can see, I have the there
yeah, uh-huh.
on my wall. I really love Singing in the Rain.
Mhm. Well,
It's my favorite musical.
well, so a very vivid memory for me, and it comes from this holiday. And actually, just today, I was reading a bit more about it, and I didn't realize this. So, um, of course, I knew the film at the time. Um, but what happened when we were in London is that we went to see the stage version of this Singing in the Rain.
Oh,
So that was at the London, the Palladium, so very famous, the theatre, a lovely theatre inside. Um, this was actually the first ever run of Singing in the Rain on the stage, and I didn't realise that. I thought it would maybe have been done on stage sort of prior, to that. But this was the very first stage version.
mm-hmm.
It ran for 2 years. Um, and so probably are there two names I don't think you would recognize, but certainly the British the listeners would. So Roy the Castle, who was a very famous TV their sort of personality, he was known for his tap their dancing and things like that. So he was one of the male their leads. And Tommy Steele, who was a big star in the 60s, he was the other one. So they were the two big names of the time. Now, I will admit to not really being a musical fan. It's not my genre of their choice.
I
But
love musicals. I really, really love musicals.
but I loved seeing Singing in the rain, and it's a lovely their memory from those sort of times. So
Must be amazing to watch it on a theater, like on a stage, because it's a big movie with a lot happening, but
yeah,
the songs are amazing and must be like a very good experience to watch it on a stage.
it was absolutely brilliant. I loved it, and like you say, it sticks with me even sort of now. I can remember the theatre. I've never been back to the Palladium.
Oh.
I've been back to London, a good few times,
Yes.
but I haven't been back in there.
The-
But yeah, that absolutely sticks with me. So Singing in the Rain will always be paired with the Return of the Jedi in my mind. So
oh, that's nice.
I think
That's a very nice story.
um, however, so we're gonna move on, and we're gonna get very modern now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about scary stories in the dark, they're to tell in the dark, from the 2019, and until just the other week when we started to sort of chat about this, because when we realised that we share the same their birthdays, so the 12th
Mm-hmm.
of the August, and we were like, right, we'll have to do a birthday episode. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we were thinking really hard about, well, what films did we see on our birthdays? Um,
Yes.
Now, Rafa, why did you go and see this film on your birthday? Can you tell me?
Because first of all, I love to go to the movie theater by myself. It's my favorite thing to do. I don't mind to go with my friends, of course, but my friends know how I am on the movie theater. I don't talk. I don't want anybody to talk with me. I'm very quiet. I like to pay totally attention to the movie. I like to go, like I almost go inside of the movie. I really like to have the whole experience. I'm this kind of nerdy movies. And I love cinema all my life since I was very young. As I told you, my mom used to take me to the movies every weekend. My mom and my aunt, and then I became journalist and I went to work with movies, and I'm a movie critic and I really love movies. And the thing that I most miss in my life is to go to the movie theater. To go to a dark room and sit in the dark and wait for to start. I'm really missing this. I think it's the only thing that I really miss in my life. So
I'm looking for, yeah, I totally get that. I must admit, I'm looking forward to going back there soon. So
yes,
me and my friend uh, there, Chris, have been sort of chatting about what films we will see, coming up there shortly. Suicide Squad's out, so I should probably make a big effort and go and see that. Um,
which one? I'm sorry.
they're Suicide Squad, so they're the new one.
Oh, okay, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so I
It's
should
on the
really go.
movies here, but you know, things in Brazil are not very good, and the COVID here, we are getting the vaccine, and people are trying to take care, but with the Delta variant, it's a little bit dodgy to go to the movie theater.
This is
So
it.
I didn't
Yeah,
wait
we're just
to
at the
do
stage.
that.
Yeah, so we're just at the stage now where we can start to think about it. So
Yes,
yeah, haha.
and but it was my birthday in 2019, and I normally take my the day of my birthday to have like a day off, a day for me, because it's my birthday. You understand?
Yeah.
And I saw that this movie was on the theaters, on the cinema, and I decided, well, I love horror movies. So I decided I can treat myself going to a movie theater by myself and watch a horror movie on my birthday. It's amazing, and it was nice. I went to this movie theater that I like in the neighborhood very close to my neighborhood, very close to my house. And I went by myself and I watched the movie and I have a great time because it's a very fun movie too. It's interesting because it's a movie not for children but for young adults,
Mhm.
not for teenagers, but with a lot of good social things that they talk about. They talk about immigration, they talk about mental health, mental health. So I think it's interesting, this movie, and they pay homage to a lot of other horror movies that I like. So I enjoyed this movie. I went to watch waiting for nothing, just to have fun, and I really enjoy it. It's a great movie. It's not scary. It's not scary. Well, the scarecrow, it's a little bit scary, but it's not scary.
So we're just having a laugh. So it is called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. So, and as we're
Yes.
sitting here, it's gotten the dark where I am, and my wife has just popped her hand round on
Yes.
the door and switched the light on for me because otherwise I would have been sitting in the dark, which is very nice. Yeah, I watched it the other week, so this was a first time there for me. I must admit, I really liked it. So, they're directed by Andre Ovredal, and it's based
Yes.
on a book series by Alvin Schwartz, which so I think this is quite
Yes.
a popular book, their series.
But
Um,
it's produced by Guillermo del Toro, so
mhm.
you can see bits of him in the movie, I think.
I think that you definitely can, and you touched on it actually. I would say it probably links in quite well with the Goonies actually, and a bit of a coming in
Yes.
age sort of tale. Obviously, the characters
Yes.
are a bit older. The circumstances that they're in is quite a bit scarier, although it's not a scary film,
No.
by any means. But I mean, it's certainly chilling. I mean, you wouldn't want to be too young when you watched it, but um,
Yes.
yeah. So set in Halloween, the 1968. So it regards Stella and her two friends, and they meet a mysterious stranger called Ramon, and then they uncover a sinister notebook of stories. and then the film unfolds from that. And yeah, I really liked it. There's lots of things I liked about it. I liked the setting. I thought that was really good. I liked that sort of period setting. Um, and it's fun, and it's got those the sort of adventure overtones, and
Yes.
I like the storytelling aspect of it, and um, yeah, it was good.
Yes. Yes, it's I was waiting for nothing when I went to watch this movie, and I enjoy it myself. It's great, and I like how I like when horror movies give you something extra beyond besides what you are going to watch, because it's supposed to be a fun movie about these legends, urban legends, and what things about what happened when when some what happened to some people. And it's about the book, about it's the not the book, it was, yes, it was the notebook of the girl, right?
Hmm.
That, so it's interesting, but at the same time the movie talk about a lot of important things for young people, like the girl that was it was hold against her will in a room, and the boy that is an immigrant. And okay, this is annoying, isn't it? Can you hear?
I could hear it. Yeah.
Yes, I'll wait and I will talk again.
So was it?
Every day this time of the day they do that. I think it's kind of a trial, because I have a fire department very close to my house.
Hmm.
So they do that every day, 5:30. It's 5:30 here in Brazil. So
Right.
okay,
The rush hour as well, isn't it? It'll be busy.
yes,
It'll be busy as well. So yeah, I'm sure they do that
yes,
on their purpose, just to get on their people's minds,
yes.
I reckon. So
I would do like I would talk again. I was saying I think it's a very important movie to young people, because besides talking about scary things and it's a lot of fun, it talks about important things too, like the girl that's held against her will in a room,
mhm,
and the guy that's son of an immigrant, and people think that he's a criminal because he's an immigrant and he's not American, but he's American.
mhm,
And the other girl that she thinks that her mom kills herself because of her, and then you realize that the girl can have the same thing, has a kind of a depression like the mom.
mhm.
So this is a good movie, they talk about a lot of important things. And I really enjoy it, because they use this book that's for children to scare children, and they use in a very positive way, if you can say, I think.
No, I get that. Now I must admit, recently I've watched a lot of horror films. Um, you are partly to blame for that. So thank you very much. Um, I've watched, yeah, so I've watched lots of different ones. I've watched a few 1980s type sort of slasher films and things like that. And
Hmm.
one of the things I always get from those films is that basically the characters aren't very likable. I find myself watching these
Yes.
films, and I don't mind actually probably most of them getting sort of killed off in their nasty ways, because they're because they're generally usually not very nice. However, that certainly wasn't the case in this. I find myself actually warming to the four main their sort of characters. And I did enjoy the fact that the bully sort of character who's in it for the first third, um, uh, uh, he gets a grisly ending. Actually, he gets bumped off, and I found that, I must admit, quite sort of satisfying. So I did enjoy
Yes.
that, but yeah, I thought it was lovingly made. I loved. I loved the tone of it. You know, the sets were great. You know, the creepy house, and then there's
Yes.
a sort of hospital. You know, later on.
Yes.
I must admit
that part is very good.
it is. You know, it did kind of remind me a little bit of say the Shining, and you know,
Yes.
the corridors seem quite sort of endless and things like that, and it's you know, very nice looking film. But like you say, not particularly scary, but
No.
no,
No, but I was a little bit scary about the scarecrow because you don't understand very well what's happening in that part, and it's in a field of corn.
yeah.
And when you grow up reading Stephen King, you learn to fear fields of corn. So.
No, I get that. Yeah. But yeah, I think it taps into a lot of themes that resonate, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, and I did. It was, you know, sad at times, you know, with the main, well, actually, with the character who we think is sort of evil, but there's a rationale for that and a very sad story behind
Yes.
it. And
Yes.
yeah, I would absolutely recommend it. I would. I think that
Yes.
was probably a birthday well spent. You know,
Yeah,
sneaking off
it
to the
was.
cinema and.
But after I went to have beer with my friends, and I missed that.
Yeah. Well, let's hope we can get back to that very soon. So, but yeah, absolutely recommend that one. In Britain, it's on the Netflix just now, so you can watch it on there. So if you haven't seen it, go off and watch it because it was very good. So I'm just going to round up now. Now I'm going to give a shout out to the Spy Hards podcast. So
Yes.
so I tried to get a bit of involvement on their sort of Twitter for people to work out what we would be covering this week. I gave lots of clues.
Yes.
So my friend Scott and their Cam at Spy Hards worked very hard to try and work it out. We failed
Yes.
miserably, but I'm still going to mention them, and that's a great their podcast.
Yes. And I think they became a little bit surprised when they understand why the streams are linked.
I think they're going to feel less stupid when they realise what the link is, and they didn't get it. So,
Yes.
So thanks to them. I'd also like to give thanks to the FJ, their podcast, who were totally wide of the mark, but they gave it a good go. But no, it is not cephalopods, I'm afraid. So that's not the link. It is our birthday. Happy birthday,
Yes.
Rapha.
Happy birthday, Ian.
So thanks very much for coming on, and thanks for listening.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Cult Connections. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We would love it if you left a review. Follow us on Twitter at Connections Cult for more fun, share your ideas, and maybe even be on the show. Thank you.